The galaxy had always regarded humanity as insignificant, a minor backwater civilization barely worth noting on the grand maps of interstellar power. The Galactic Empire, a coalition of thousands of advanced species, each with their own fleets, technologies, and centuries of warfare experience, had long dismissed Earth as a primitive planet, unworthy of attention beyond occasional trade inspections and symbolic territorial claims. Humanity's colonies were scattered, poorly armed, and technologically inferior compared to the Empire's standards. To the Empire, humans were amusingly resilient but ultimately powerless, like ants scuttling across the vast battlefield of the cosmos. Yet beneath this dismissive perception, humanity had been quietly preparing, honing its capabilities, learning from every encounter with the stars, and building innovations that even the Empire's most arrogant scientists could not anticipate. Captain Nathan Drake, commander of the newly commissioned battlecruiser Perseverance, stood on the bridge and observed the vast emptiness beyond the reinforced viewport. His crew, a mixture of experienced veterans and brilliant engineers, moved with synchronized efficiency, unaware that they were about to become the central figures in a turning point that would shake the galaxy. The Empire scouts had been circling the outer colonies, reporting their findings to Council Dominions, and their conclusion was uniform. The humans were harmless, disorganized, and strategically primitive. Admiral Vorthen, a towering insectoid with a carapace that gleamed under the cold lights of the command chamber, confidently addressed the Council. Their fleets are scattered, their weapons are weak, and their planetary defenses are laughable. There is no need for caution. We will assimilate their colonies swiftly. Among the Council, a few younger species nodded, eager to see a demonstration of superiority, while older, more cautious representatives muttered quietly, recalling anomalies in previous encounters that had seemed trivial at the time. On Earth, humanity's scientists had anticipated this arrogance and had been working in secrecy to turn it against the Empire. Dr. Elena Ramirez, a physicist specializing in advanced propulsion and energy systems, stood over a complex console of the Terra Research Facility, monitoring readings from experimental reactors. "Phase 1 is ready," she said calmly, her fingers dancing over the controls. Around her, engineers and pilots prepared the new fleet, designed not for brute force but for precision, speed, and adaptability, exploiting weaknesses that only human ingenuity could discover. On the frontier colonies, intelligence officers intercepted Imperial communications daily, compiling behavioral patterns of alien fleets, their predictable tactics, and their reliance on overwhelming numbers rather than strategy. Lieutenant Marcus Chen, stationed on the mining colony of Keta Prime, reviewed the latest data with growing excitement. "They still think we're predictable," he said, shaking his head. "They've never fought against humans who learn from every mistake before we even commit it." As the first Imperial fleet approached the Sol system, confidence radiated from their ships like an unspoken declaration of dominance. The initial scouts underestimated the humans immediately, reporting false readings of weakness to flatter their superiors. What they did not know was that humanity had created an array of countermeasures specifically to exploit these overconfident assumptions. Small skirmishes were planned as distractions, drawing Imperial forces into zones where they would be vulnerable to concentrated fire from hidden human battalions and automated strike systems. Captain Drake reviewed the mission parameters with his officers. "They think they are hunting ants," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Let's show them what ants can do when cornered." In the first moment of contact, Imperial ships opened fire on a small, lightly defended human outpost on Mars' moon, Phobos. Sensors immediately detected incoming energy pulses, and human defense systems reacted with unexpected precision, neutralizing multiple ships before they could inflict significant damage. Imperial commanders were stunned. Their superiors demanded explanations, but the initial reports were chaotic, conflicting, and frighteningly fast-moving. Meanwhile, Earth's Central Command coordinated attacks across multiple sectors, using faster-than-expected propulsion systems, electronic warfare, and synchronized strike teams to overwhelm select targets, while avoiding direct confrontation with the Empire's main fleets. The aliens' arrogance worked against them. Every maneuver they executed based on assumed superiority became a predictable pattern that humans exploited. Communications officers reported intercepted alien signals filled with confusion and panic, their disciplined coordination breaking down as the human forces adapted in real time. In one of the largest skirmishes near Jupiter's orbit, Admiral Vorthen's flagship, the Dread Sovereign, encountered a human trap. Concealed by the gas giant's magnetic storms, human attack drones emerged in precise formations, striking critical weak points that alien engineers had assumed were protected by impenetrable shields. Explosions rippled through the Dread Sovereign, its advanced systems failing in ways no alien tactics could have predicted. Vorthen roared in frustration as the ship listed dangerously. "This is impossible," he barked. "They cannot possess this level of strategy." Captain Drake, observing the battle from the bridge of the Perseverance, allowed himself a small nod of satisfaction. "They always underestimate us," he murmured, "and they always will until it's too late." Across the galaxy, news of the initial victories spread like wildfire. Other human colonies, previously considered vulnerable, began executing coordinated offensives, demonstrating tactical genius, rapid adaptability, and capacity for calculated risk that left the Empire's strategists scrambling. The narrative that humans were weak and inconsequential shattered in hours. On one outlying mining planet, a young pilot named Sarah Mitchell led a squad in a modified fighter craft through a canyon of asteroids, outmaneuvering and destroying a fleet that had been assigned to secure a supposedly unimportant sector. The aliens' technology was superior in raw terms, but humans compensated with creativity, psychological warfare, and a ruthless understanding of enemy psychology. By the time the Galactic Council convened again to reassess the human threat, their representatives were in shock. Communications intercepted from human intelligence showed coordinated attacks across dozens of systems, strategic diversions, and rapid redeployment of forces. Analysts scrambled to identify patterns, but found that humans consistently broke expected behaviors, adapting instantly to changing circumstances. Dr. Ramirez, observing from Terra, smiled as she activated a new wave of electromagnetic pulse generators across several colonies. Imperial ships faltered as systems went offline, further feeding human offensive maneuvers. "They think this is a random failure," she said. "It's not random. It's every calculation we've made, timed perfectly." Humanity's hidden strength was no longer a secret. The first day of contact with the Empire's fleets ended with thousands of alien ships destroyed, crippled, or retreating in disarray, and the surviving forces reporting back to the council tales of humans they could not predict, anticipate, or defeat with brute force alone. The Empire's assumption of superiority was crumbling, replaced by a dawning horror that humans, so long dismissed, were capable of unprecedented strategic brilliance, technological innovation, and coordinated ferocity. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity strikes back not with the arrogance of dominance, but with the relentless cunning of survival, adaptability, and ingenuity. What the Empire thought would be a swift conquest had become the beginning of a conflict that would redefine every perception of power in the universe. Humans, underestimated for centuries, were no longer passive observers of galactic politics. They were the force that would reshape the cosmos in their image, and every alien that had ever mocked them would soon learn the cost of their arrogance. As the Imperial Council convened in panic, chaos rippling through their ranks, Captain Nathan Drake coordinated his next moves with unflinching precision, knowing that the first victory was only the opening gambit in a campaign designed not just to repel the Empire, but to demonstrate humanity's unmatched strategic brilliance. Every human colony was now acting in perfect synchrony, leveraging decades of preparation, secret technological advancements, and intelligence gathered from years of studying alien behavior. And as fleets moved through hyperspace corridors, humans revealed innovations that the Empire had dismissed as theoretical, including variable phase shielding, adaptive energy weapons, and AI-assisted tactical decision networks capable of processing millions of possible outcomes in real time, allowing small squadrons to outmaneuver and outfight ships many times their size, and the aliens, confident in their overwhelming numbers and centuries of experience, found themselves repeatedly trapped, outflanked, and systematically destroyed, often before they could understand what had gone wrong. While on Earth, Dr. Elena Ramirez and her team oversaw the deployment of quantum-link communication systems that allowed every human vessel to act as if it were controlled by a single mind, predicting enemy movements, coordinating simultaneous strikes across multiple star systems, and adjusting tactics mid-battle with an efficiency that left Imperial commanders Stunned, and on Kether Prime, Lieutenant Marcus Chen orchestrated a daring ambush in the asteroid belt, using decoy ships, cloaked drones, and gravitational manipulation to destroy an entire battle group. The alien pilots' confusion growing as they realized their once reliable sensor arrays were being manipulated with precision they could not counter, while news of these victories spread across human and alien territories alike, terrifying colonies loyal to the Empire and emboldening humans across the frontier, and every intercepted transmission revealed growing desperation in alien communications, fragmented commands, and panic-driven miscalculations as fleets began acting independently, breaking formation, and exposing vulnerabilities that humans had planned for in advance, while on the political front, human ambassadors, previously ignored in interstellar diplomacy, began negotiating temporary truces and alliances with minor species under the Empire's control, swelling human forces with strategic positions, resources, and intelligence, further amplifying their ability to outmaneuver and outthink the supposedly invincible Empire. And as Captain Drake watched the second wave of engagements unfold from the bridge of the Perseverance, he noted that the aliens were still clinging to outdated assumptions, still underestimating human adaptability. Yet each engagement was reshaping the galaxy's understanding of what it meant to be human, and even the most seasoned Imperial admirals were beginning to fear that this was not a temporary setback, but the emergence of a new power, a civilization that had spent centuries hiding its true potential and was now ready to assert dominance with relentless efficiency, coordinated precision, and a refusal to accept defeat. And in the aftermath of the initial battles, as wreckage littered the void and the Empire scrambled to regroup, humans began consolidating strategic points, using captured enemy technology to reverse engineer systems, enhancing their fleets faster than the Empire could respond, while across the galaxy, civilians and soldiers alike were rallying to humanity's cause, inspired by news of victories, tactical brilliance, and the courage displayed by men and women who refused to be underestimated. And the narrative shifted from humans as a minor nuisance to a civilization capable of challenging and defeating one of the galaxy's most dominant powers, turning the initial underestimation into a catastrophic mistake for the Empire. And as night fell over Earth, lights glowing across cities, laboratories, and military installations, Captain Drake issued a message to all human forces, emphasizing the principle that had guided their actions from the beginning: patience, preparation, and precision, reminding everyone that the Empire's arrogance was their greatest weapon, and humanity would continue striking back, relentlessly, with intelligence, ingenuity, and unity, teaching the galaxy for first time that humans were not merely survivors, but the architects of their own destiny, capable of redefining the balance of power, of turning fear into strategy, and of demonstrating that the species the Empire had mocked was, in fact, a force to be reckoned with, a civilization whose true strength was hidden beneath layers of deliberate humility, careful study, and relentless innovation. And as the night stretched on, human fleets, scientists, engineers, and leaders worked tirelessly in harmony, ensuring that every move, every calculation, every decision brought them closer to the moment when the Empire would fully comprehend the magnitude of their error, a realization that would not come gently but violently, reshaping the galaxy forever. The Empire's shock only grew as humanity escalated their campaigns with a combination of audacious strategy and meticulous planning that no alien commander had anticipated, and as fleets engaged across multiple sectors simultaneously, human forces employed advanced decoys, adaptive cloaking, and predictive maneuvering that made them appear in locations the Empire believed impossible, striking at supply lines, communications hubs, and command vessels with precision while avoiding entanglement in prolonged battles that favored the alien superior firepower. And on Titan, a newly fortified human base served as the nerve center for coordinating hyperspace jumps and strike teams, where Dr. Elena Ramirez and her colleagues monitored the flux of quantum-linked sensors, feeding data from dozens of fronts, adjusting tactics in real time, and deploying experimental energy field disruptors that rendered Imperial weapons useless for critical moments, while Lieutenant Marcus Chen led rapid response squads through asteroid fields, employing gravitational distortions and kinetic traps to shred enemy formations before retreating into safe zones, all while Imperial admirals could do little but watch as their meticulously honed doctrines crumbled under the pressure of human ingenuity and in orbit around Mars. Captain Nathan Drake directed a series of coordinated assaults that exploited every predictable behavior of the alien fleets, drawing them into elaborate feints, ambushes, and crossfires. And as the humans executed maneuvers that defied the Empire's tactical expectations, panic spread to the alien ranks, their communication networks jammed or corrupted by human electronic warfare teams, forcing isolated units to make decisions without central command, leading to catastrophic losses. While back on Earth, civilian engineers and scientists developed enhanced propulsion and weapon systems at an unprecedented pace, integrating captured alien technology into human designs, creating hybrid systems capable of outmatching even the Empire's best. And across every human colony, morale surged as reports of victory streamed in, reinforcing a belief that humans were capable not only of defending themselves but of turning the tide across the galaxy. And as the battles intensified, alien leaders convened emergency councils, trying to decipher how a species they had dismissed as primitive could consistently predict, counter, and outmaneuver them, their arrogance replaced by fear and disbelief. And even the most confident generals admitted that humans were not merely lucky or resourceful, but that their tactics reflected a level of strategic thinking and coordination unmatched in galactic history, while Captain Drake, aware of the growing alien desperation, planned the next phase, a series of concentrated assaults designed to sever Imperial supply chains, isolate their command hubs, and force them into engagements where human strengths and adaptability, speed, and precision would dominate. And in the void near Jupiter and Saturn, fleets of human attack drones executed synchronized strikes, disabling flagship systems and cutting off reinforcements, while elsewhere smaller human squadrons created diversions, drawing alien ships into traps and overwhelming them through superior coordination. And on the diplomatic front, human ambassadors leveraged these victories to sway neutral species to their side, forming temporary alliances that expanded the operational reach of human forces, further tipping the balance of power. And as each day passed, the Empire's assumption of dominance disintegrated, replaced by mounting panic and recognition that they had underestimated humanity in the most dangerous way possible. While on Earth, Captain Drake and Dr. Ramirez reviewed projections of alien fleet movements, identifying predictable overconfidence patterns and planning targeted strikes that would continue to dismantle the Empire's hold on distant systems. And across human colonies, engineers, soldiers, and civilians worked in unison, inspired by the unprecedented opportunity to demonstrate the true potential of their species, turning what had once been a defensive struggle into an assertive, galaxy-shaping campaign. And as the human forces pressed their advantage, the first signs of systemic collapse within Imperial command structures became evident, showing that arrogance, misjudgment, and underestimation were fatal errors when, faced with civilization that combined adaptability, ingenuity, and relentless determination, and the galaxy began to understand that humanity, long ignored and mocked, was no longer a minor player but a dominant force capable of shaping the future of every star system, rewriting the rules of engagement, and proving that underestimation of humans carried consequences the Empire would soon regret more than they could have imagined. Humanity's momentum showed no signs of slowing as Captain Nathan Drake orchestrated an unprecedented series of coordinated attacks across multiple sectors, exploiting every weakness, blind spot, and predictable maneuver of the Empire. And as fleets of human vessels moved with fluid precision, they employed electronic countermeasures, adaptive shields, and autonomous strike drones that allowed even smaller squadrons to neutralize vastly superior enemy forces, while on Titan, Dr. Elena Ramirez and her team continuously monitored energy fluctuations, propulsion anomalies, and communications interference, using the data to refine tactical algorithms that allowed human forces to anticipate the Empire's decisions before they were even made. And across the frontier colonies, Lieutenant Marcus Chen directed sabotage operations on critical supply depots, communications arrays, and staging facilities, cutting off reinforcements and creating chaos among Imperial units. And in orbit around Mars and the asteroid belt, human squadrons executed feints and diversions so effective that entire alien fleets pursued phantom targets into kill zones where their ships were systematically destroyed or disabled. While back on Earth, engineers reverse-engineered captured alien technology, integrating faster-than-expected propulsion systems, energy-efficient weaponry, and self-repairing armor into human fleets, giving them a technological advantage that complemented their superior strategic planning, and as report of these victories reached the Galactic Council, panic overtook their deliberations, with even the most seasoned generals admitting that the humans' capacity for adaptation, foresight, and ruthless efficiency was beyond anything they had encountered. While the Empire scrambled to coordinate responses across dispersed fleets, confusion and miscommunication compounded their losses. And every attempt to engage human forces directly resulted in ambushes, counterattacks, and devastating retreats, demonstrating that humanity's combination of innovation, intelligence, and coordination could overcome raw power in overwhelming numbers. And on distant colonies, civilian militias and engineers joined the fight, operating logistical support, electronic warfare arrays, and localized strike teams that further enhanced the effectiveness of human operations. While Captain Drake used these successes to plan the next phase, targeting central command hubs, key resource nodes, and strategic hyperspace choke points to further cripple Imperial operations, and as human fleets advanced through sectors once considered under unassailable control by the Empire, alien commanders found themselves reacting instead of dictating, with strategic initiatives slipping away, morale deteriorating, and internal conflicts emerging as panic spread among ranks, while the humans' ability to learn, adapt, and innovate in real time allowed them to consistently anticipate enemy maneuvers, turning each confrontation into a demonstration of superiority. And as Dr. Ramirez deployed advanced quantum link communication networks, all human units operated in near-perfect synchronization, achieving feats of coordination that rendered traditional alien command structures obsolete, while civilians across human colonies celebrated victories, rallied to support military operations, and contributed intelligence, resources, and ingenuity to a war effort that had transcended conventional boundaries of military engagement. And in a vacuum of space where battles raged, Imperial ships were continuously outmaneuvered, their systems neutralized, their formations broken, and their commanders forced into desperate, unplanned decisions that led to catastrophic losses, all while humanity pressed forward with disciplined precision, relentless innovation, and an unyielding will, proving not only their ability to survive under the shadow of a galactic superpower, but to dominate, dictate terms, and reshape the political, technological, and military landscape of the galaxy in ways the Empire had never imagined. And as Captain Drake reviewed the outcomes of the day's engagements, he realized that every alien underestimation, every assumption of human inferiority, and every display of arrogance had become a weapon turned against them, and that humanity's true power was not only in their technology or fleets, but in their relentless adaptability, ingenuity, and unity, traits the galaxy had long overlooked. And now, as the Empire's authority faltered in multiple regions, the humans were no longer the hunted but the hunters, proving with every maneuver, battle, and calculated strike that the species they had mocked was destined to change the course of galactic history forever. The human offensive expanded relentlessly, each victory feeding into the next, as Captain Nathan Drake directed a sprawling campaign that leveraged every lesson learned from prior encounters, and as fleets moved through contested sectors, they employed advanced tactics that confounded Imperial expectations, including simultaneous multi-vector assaults, feigned retreats, and precision strikes that crippled command ships while leaving civilian infrastructure intact. While on Earth, Dr. Elena Ramirez oversaw the deployment of experimental energy matrices and adaptive propulsion systems that gave human vessels unmatched maneuverability and resilience, allowing them to engage larger alien fleets and escape seemingly inescapable traps. And across human colonies, Lieutenant Marcus Chen coordinated guerrilla-style strikes against supply lines, hyperspace relay stations, and orbital shipyards, systematically dismantling the Empire's operational reach, while alien fleets, blinded by arrogance and disbelief, repeatedly fell into ambushes, lost cohesion under human psychological warfare tactics, and suffered catastrophic losses that spread fear and uncertainty throughout the Empire. And as the scale of humanity's coordinated efforts became clear, previously neutral species began defecting or offering support, recognizing the strategic brilliance and adaptive capability of humans who had long been underestimated, while Imperial admirals struggled to maintain control, issuing fragmented orders that were exploited by human forces. And Captain Drake, aware that momentum was humanity's greatest weapon, pressed the offensive further, orchestrating fleet movements that simultaneously defended critical colonies, drew Imperial forces into kill zones, and applied pressure to vulnerable command nodes, all while minimizing human casualties through superior planning and technological advantage. And on the scientific front, Dr. Ramirez implemented quantum computation-assisted simulations that predicted enemy responses before engagements began, allowing human forces to preemptively adjust tactics, trap alien fleets, and exploit weaknesses. While across the battlefield, pilots such as Sarah Mitchell executed daring maneuvers through asteroid belts, debris fields, and magnetic storms, destroying entire squadrons before enemy commanders could react. And the psychological impact on the Empire was devastating, as alien soldiers began to question their leaders, doubting their own abilities in the face of humans who seemed to anticipate every move, turn every mistake into an opportunity, and strike with ruthless efficiency. And as human victories multiplied, the Empire faced a crisis of authority, with factional disagreements, miscommunication, and fear of human ingenuity causing operational paralysis. While Captain Drake used these moments to secure strategic footholds in key systems, ensuring supply lines, reinforcing vulnerable positions, and preparing for simultaneous offensives that would further destabilize Imperial command. And across the galaxy, intelligence networks, civilian engineers, and local militias worked in concert with military operations, creating an unprecedented war machine fueled not by numbers alone, but by adaptability, innovation, and collective determination. And as the Empire reeled from losses, their previous assumption that humans were weak, disorganized, and predictable was completely shattered, replaced by a growing dread of a civilization capable of outthinking, outmaneuvering, and outlasting forces that had once considered themselves invincible. And in the void of space, where entire fleets had been destroyed, captured, or scattered, human forces pressed their advantage, demonstrating not only tactical genius, but a strategic vision that threatened the very foundations of Imperial control. And as Captain Drake reviewed real-time intelligence, he understood that the key to ultimate victory lay in relentless pressure, coordinated innovation, and exploiting the arrogance of an enemy who had never taken humans seriously, proving that centuries of underestimation were the Empire's fatal flaw, and that humanity's rise was not a matter of chance, but design, foresight, and unyielding will. And the galaxy was beginning to recognize that the underestimated species from a backwater planet was now the most formidable power in existence, reshaping the balance of power and leaving the Empire scrambling to comprehend a human ingenuity that seemed limitless, unstoppable, and destined to redefine galactic history forever. The humans' campaign evolved into a symphony of precision and adaptability, as Captain Nathan Drake coordinated simultaneous strikes across multiple star systems, exploiting every predictable reaction and pattern the Empire relied on. And as Imperial fleets scrambled to respond, human forces used advanced cloaking, phase-shifting shields, and autonomous drone swarms to create illusions, mislead commanders, and strike decisively at critical nodes. While on Earth, Dr. Elena Ramirez oversaw the integration of alien-derived technologies with human ingenuity, creating hybrid weapon systems capable of delivering devastating effects with unprecedented efficiency. And across the colonies, Lieutenant Marcus Chen executed bold maneuvers, guiding squadrons through asteroid fields, gas clouds, and unstable planetary orbits to ambush unsuspecting alien forces, while Imperial generals watched helplessly as meticulously planned formations dissolved under human unpredictability, miscommunication, among their fleets spreading panic, hesitation, and fatal errors. And on the diplomatic front, human emissaries leveraged these victories to form strategic alliances with minor species, gaining access to hidden resources, intelligence, and operational bases that further amplified their tactical advantage, while each successful engagement served as a lesson in the Empire's miscalculation, showing that raw power and numbers were no match for adaptive strategy, coordinated intelligence, and relentless human ingenuity. And as Captain Drake analyzed reports from the front lines, he noted that the Empire was increasingly committing mistakes born of overconfidence and fear, falling into traps designed to exploit exactly those behaviors, while human fleets, synchronized through quantum-link communications and predictive algorithms, executed maneuvers that rendered traditional alien command hierarchies ineffective, creating the impression of omnipresent forces striking at every vulnerable point simultaneously. And across the galaxy, civilians, engineers, and military personnel collaborated in unprecedented fashion, creating supply chains, repair networks, and logistical systems that allowed human forces to sustain momentum while continually upgrading their fleets and systems with captured technology. And as Imperial fleets attempted countermeasures, humans anticipated them, adapting instantly to new weapons, tactics, and formations, leaving alien commanders struggling. To comprehend how a species they had long underestimated consistently outmaneuvered, outthought, and outperformed them, while the psychological effect on alien soldiers and populations was profound, morale collapsing as news of human victories, strategic brilliance, and ruthless efficiency spread, undermining confidence in leadership and creating opportunities for further tactical exploitation. And in key systems near Earth, human forces executed complex coordinated attacks that severed critical supply lines, disabled communication relays, and captured strategic positions, effectively isolating major Imperial fleets and forcing them into engagements where human planning and adaptability would dominate, while Dr. Ramirez monitored energy flux, propulsion vectors, and enemy responses in real time, fine-tuning fleet deployments to exploit weaknesses the Empire had no capacity to counter. And as humanity pressed the advantage, even the most cautious alien factions began questioning their ability to maintain control, realizing that centuries of assumed superiority had left them unprepared for a species that combined relentless ingenuity, rapid learning, and unbreakable unity. And across the battlefield, Captain Drake orchestrated simultaneous operations that dismantled command structures, exploited internal rivalries, and demonstrated an understanding of enemy psychology that no Imperial strategist had anticipated, proving that the humans they had mocked were not only capable of surviving, but of dictating the terms of engagement, controlling the flow of battle, and reshaping the entire theater of war according to their own design. And as the day ended, thousands of alien ships lay crippled, retreating, or under human control, while the Empire grappled with the realization that their centuries-long arrogance had enabled the rise of a force that would not simply challenge them, but redefine what power meant across the galaxy. And humanity, underestimated for so long, had proven that survival, ingenuity, and coordination could triumph over presumed invincibility, setting the stage for the decisive confrontations that would determine the future of every star system, and ensuring that the lesson of the human strength would echo across the cosmos for generations to come. With the Empire reeling from repeated defeats and their fleets fragmented across contested sectors, Captain Nathan Drake seized the initiative, orchestrating a masterful series of campaigns that combined deception, precision strikes, and relentless pressure. And as human forces advanced, they exploited every flaw in alien strategy, using adaptive drones, advanced electronic warfare, and rapid redeployment to create the illusion of overwhelming numbers where few ships existed, while on Earth, Dr. Elena Ramirez implemented the next phase of technological enhancements, integrating alien propulsion systems with quantum computation control navigation and weaponry, giving human ships a speed, accuracy, and resilience that render conventional Imperial tactics obsolete. And across 4 colonies, Lieutenant Marcus Chen coordinated a web of sabotage, ambushes, and diversionary attacks that systematically dismantled Imperial supply lines, communications networks, and fleet cohesion. While alien commanders, blinded by previous assumptions of superiority, found themselves reacting to human actions rather than dictating them. And as human fleets engaged in battles across multiple star systems simultaneously, they employed synchronized maneuvers so precise that Imperial ships were funneled into kill zones, trapped between invisible barriers, or neutralized with minimal human losses, while intelligence gathered from captured vessels allowed rapid adaptation, countering every new weapon, tactic, and formation the Empire attempted. And the psychological impact on alien forces was catastrophic, with morale plummeting as the once unquestioned invincibility of the Empire gave way to fear, confusion, and mistrust among officers. And in remote systems, human emissaries leveraged these victories to form strategic alliances with neutral species, gaining access to advanced technology, resources, and additional fleet support, further amplifying the humans' operational reach. While Captain Drake, analyzing the broader campaign, realized that every engagement was eroding the Empire's capacity to coordinate, and that their arrogance had left them vulnerable to a species that combined adaptability, ingenuity, and unity on a scale they had never anticipated. And as human forces continued to exploit these weaknesses, small fleets executed feints that drew alien ships into ambushes. Decoys disrupted command decisions, and precise strikes on key infrastructure caused cascading failures across multiple sectors, while Dr. Ramirez monitored energy flux, propulsion outputs, and enemy communications in real time, constantly adjusting human deployments to maintain the upper hand. And across every theater of conflict, civilian engineers, scientists, and militias collaborated seamlessly with military forces, creating supply chains, repair facilities, and intelligence networks that kept human momentum unbroken, while the Empire struggled to replace lost commanders, rebuild destroyed ships, and maintain cohesion among their scattered fleets. And Captain Drake, aware that timing and psychological pressure were as important as firepower, orchestrated operations designed to exploit panic and indecision, forcing alien forces into mistakes they could not recover from, while pilots such as Sarah Mitchell executed high-risk maneuvers through asteroid belts, nebulae, and radiation storms to strike isolated targets, leaving Imperial admirals in disbelief at the precision and daring of human tactics. And as the campaign continued, it became clear that humanity was not only winning battles, but systematically dismantling the Empire's ability to project power, control territory, or even predict human movements. And across the galaxy, whispers spread among alien populations of a species that could outthink, outfight, and outmaneuver the supposed masters of the stars. And the combined effect of strategic brilliance, technological superiority, and relentless. Human will began reshaping political alliances, fleet deployments, and even perception of humans as a species. And as the day concluded, thousands of Imperial ships had been destroyed, captured, or neutralized. Key command hubs were isolated, and the Empire faced a reality they had never prepared for, that humanity, long dismissed as weak and insignificant, had evolved into a force capable of dictating the flow of war, reshaping galactic power structures, and demonstrating that underestimation of humans was the deadliest mistake an opponent could make. And Captain Drake, reviewing the outcomes with his team, understood that victory was not just about destruction, but about proving to the galaxy that humanity's ingenuity, adaptability, and unwavering determination could overcome any obstacle, outmatch any foe, and forever change the course of interstellar history. The culmination of humanity's campaign unfolded with breathtaking precision, as Captain Nathan Drake coordinated the final series of assaults that would cement their dominance and demonstrate to the galaxy that underestimating humans was a catastrophic error. And as fleets moved through hyperspace corridors, human forces struck simultaneously at Imperial command hubs, supply depots, and key fleet concentrations, using a combination of adaptive shielding, quantum-linked communications, and autonomous strike drones to outmaneuver, outthink, and annihilate forces that had once been considered invincible. While on Earth, Dr. Elena Ramirez oversaw the deployment of advanced energy matrices, propulsion enhancements, and self-repairing vessel systems that allowed human ships to operate with unmatched efficiency, resilience, and speed. And across every colony, Lieutenant Marcus Chen executed coordinated sabotage and ambush operations that further dismantled Imperial command structures, disrupted supply lines, and isolated remaining enemy forces, while alien commanders, panicked and disoriented, found their fleets in disarray, communications fractured, and morale collapsing as humans exploited every predictable response, forced every mistake, and leveraged every misjudgment made by the Empire over centuries of arrogance. And in the outer sectors, squadrons led by pilots such as Sarah Mitchell executed daring attacks through asteroid fields, radiation storms, and magnetic anomalies, destroying entire formations, while human engineers and militias ensured that supply, repair, and intelligence networks functioned flawlessly, allowing constant pressure to be applied without pause. And as the Empire scrambled to regroup, their fragmented fleets fell into traps laid months in advance, their superior numbers rendered irrelevant by human adaptability. And across the galaxy, minor species that had once served the Empire defected or offered support, recognizing that humans were now the decisive power capable of shaping political and military outcomes. And as Captain Drake analyzed the final battle plans, he coordinated assaults so precise and overwhelming that the remaining Imperial command hubs were neutralized, isolated fleets destroyed or captured, and the Empire's capacity to wage organized war effectively eliminated, while Dr. Ramirez activated the last wave of experimental energy systems that disabled remaining enemy weapons and propulsion, simultaneously, leaving survivors with no ability to counter, flee, or regroup. And as the final engagements concluded, the psychological impact on alien forces was devastating. Their centuries-long assumption of superiority shattered as they realized that every underestimation, every act of arrogance, and every dismissal of humanity had led to this annihilation of their operational control, while across human-held space, celebrations, coordinated strategic operations, and scientific triumphs marked the end of the Empire's dominance and the beginning of a new galactic order in which humans dictated the rules. And as Captain Drake transmitted messages of victory, emphasizing that human ingenuity, adaptability, and unity had rewritten the balance of power, he understood that the significance of their triumph extended beyond battlefields and destroyed fleets, reaching into the political, technological, and cultural structures of every species that had ever underestimated them. And on Earth, Dr. Ramirez, Lieutenant Chen, and countless human collaborators recognized that their perseverance, foresight, and relentless innovation had not only preserved their civilization, but elevated it to a position of undeniable supremacy. And as the galaxy absorbed the reality of human dominance, the message became clear to all. Humanity, long dismissed as insignificant, had struck back with unmatched brilliance, reshaping the cosmos, ensuring that no power would ever underestimate them again, and proving in the most irrevocable way that their ingenuity, resilience, and unity were forces capable of altering the course of history itself, securing a legacy that would resonate across every star system for generations. And the Empire, broken and humbled, was left to confront the lesson it had ignored for centuries, that humans, underestimated at every turn, were unstoppable, unbeatable, and destined to define the future of the galaxy forever.